Hey there, I am Kate Volman, and I am so excited to be joined by my friend Jeremy Pound. He is the CEO of Juicy Results, and we have a really juicy topic today because we want to share how to make your business scalable and repeatable. Jeremy, you're so good at this.
Thank you.
I've had the
videos or scaling and repeating?
Both. So Jeremy and I have worked together for a while. We've known each other for a while and been friends, and then I had an opportunity to work with him, and when we still collaborate on different projects. And one of the things that I learned really quickly about Jeremy is that I'll come up with these crazy ideas of what I want to do in a business, and I just have all this stuff going on in my head, and I know a lot of you out there can relate. And what Jeremy does is say, okay, great idea. Let's figure out how we're going to make it repeatable, scale it, so you're not just like off and running and doing a 1,000 things at one time.
Yeah.
So let's talk first a little bit about process and why you need to put these things in place to be effective.
Yeah, I think the power in process is that it allows you to get a consistent result without doing everything yourself every single time, right? Which is what we're all very happy to do when we launch our businesses, and there's always motivation, but we need to solve new problems, right?
Yeah.
So once you've got a problem solved, eventually, if you want to create more value in your business, you have to solve a bigger problem, right? And so there's nothing worse than when you solve a problem and then you hand it off and then you see them not solving it. Like they're struggling with the same thing you already know how to do, and you're like, well, we already solved these problems, guys. There's a system to this. Let's just follow the system. So that's why it's so important, because if it's not repeatable, there's no consistency. You never can go on vacation, and you certainly can't scale it to more people.
Yeah, that's a great point. When you're building a business, so oftentimes we build these businesses, but it's really just us doing all the work. And if you can't leave and take off a week and things are still running, what's the point? You just created a job for yourself.
And it's hard work. I mean, sometimes it's easier just to do it because it's natural.
Right.
Right? It's like memory muscle. And it takes a lot of burning the brain to sit down and say, what am I really doing here, and how am I going to write this down so someone else can do it? So I understand why people avoid it.
Yeah, so how can someone set up? They have a business, things are working, it's them and maybe just a couple of people in their business, a salesperson or maybe someone that is answering phones or just kind of helping with everything. Yeah. How do you start creating processes?
Got it. So great question. So the whole point of a process is to get a repeatable result. So we want to start with the result. What's the outcome that we want this process to do? Kind of start with the end in mind, to steal a Stephen Covey habit. So you want to not think about what's the first thing I do. I feel like that's the biggest mistake everybody makes. They say, okay, let's talk about the sales process. So we help a lot of companies script out their sales process so that they can train other people how to do it and they can make it more effective. So whenever I say, tell me about your sales process, immediately people start thinking about the first thing they do, and then they start to get lost. And they're like, but when this happens, I do this. And so you need those things, but what's better to do is start at the end and say, well, I get a sale when I get a signed proposal and a check, or I get a sale when somebody comes in and swipes their credit card, or whatever it is, whatever your sale looks like, okay? So what's the last thing that needs to happen before that sale is made? Well, they have to have the proposal and understand it, okay? And so what happens before that? Start working your way back, and really what you want to do is you want to identify the core steps that everybody goes through, right? So don't get lost in the anomalies. Don't get to say, well, if it's this, then this happens, and sometimes that happens, right? So when a pilot takes off from the airport and flies from New York to San Francisco, they're off course 99% of the time, but they're constantly recorrecting and getting back on the course, right? And they have a flight plan so that if they lose their instruments, there's a couple major landmarks that they know they need to go over, right? Those are your milestones. So if it's your sales process, if it's dealing with a customer service problem, if it's creating a marketing video that you want to send out every week, right? You need that consistent process, those milestones that have to get done.
Awesome. So let's talk about what we did, because Jeremy really helped me when we were working together to put together a process for sales.
Yeah.
And so again, if you're running around and you're calling leads and you're going to networking events and you're just trying to get business, and then you close business, and then you might not even be servicing them correctly because you just have so many things, you're so scattered, and then you just feel like the end of the week you just didn't get anything. You feel like you were so busy and you got nothing done. So what we did was, what Jeremy helped me do was really set up a system for a week. So okay, if you need to close X amount of business by the end of the month, like what's that number?
Yeah.
How many sales presentations do you need to give? Great, so you need to give 5 a week. How are you going to get to that 5 a week? That's when I started coming up with, okay, I need to go to X amount of networking events, making calls, reaching out to prospects, and all of those things. And so when I had that system in place, oh my gosh, my life was so much easier. Just like lifted up. I just did not feel so stressed at the end of a week because I had those metrics. I was able to check them off and say, I did these things, and I knew, and I would hit my goals.
There's a little trick there that I've learned from some amazing companies and business leaders, and the best companies in the world that have the best talent, right, the best people, their people know when they're winning, right? Like people who are competitive, they like to keep score. They like to know that they've had a good day or a good week, right? And so what I showed you how to do was to know when enough was enough, to have a target for knowing that Kate had a good week. And so no matter how much she worked, she would basically have a number, and you would know at the end of Friday, yeah, I had a good week, or no, I didn't have a good week, and here's why, right? And so it wasn't just this, just work, more, I gotta stay here later than the boss, like all the things that people do. So small businesses, it may seem like more work for you, but if your people don't know when they've had a good day or a good week, they're not gonna stick around and perform at their best.
Right, and then when you know that system works, you bring someone else on, and they do the same thing. So that is awesome. So if you're watching this and you're just kind of feeling crazy, like you're doing everything, what's a good tip for them? I mean, do you take like department, like do you first start with sales and then, other things in business? Like how do you recommend?
Where do you start?
Yeah, like where do you start?
Where are you spending the most of your time, right? Like what's, taking up all of your time, and can you create a process for that, and can you delegate that, right? Or what are the things that you shouldn't be doing that you keep having to solve? The same fire that pops up, same customer service problem, start with the pain point and solve that.
All right, awesome. So if you're out there and you're just feeling a little bit crazy, stop. Don't do that anymore. You need to create better systems in your business, and Jeremy does that really well. Actually, what Jeremy does is he helps companies generate more leads and sales by effectively using their CRM, and with that, it's a lot of processes. So that's really what he does. That's what his business does, and so by doing all of those things, he's able to share all this really great knowledge.
I think most people think that sales and marketing are something that isn't systematized, right?
Yeah.
They think that the business processes are reserved for the accounting department and the operations team. But what we do is we systematize sales and marketing so that you can make it repeatable and you can make it scalable.
Awesome. Well, I hope you guys found this video helpful. I would love to hear from you on how you are going to take action and actually put some processes in your business, because I want you to feel at the end of the week like you've actually gotten somewhere, instead of feeling like you have to work all weekend and not even know where you're trying to go. So Jeremy, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing some great tips.
Good to be here.
Awesome. I'll see you guys later.